Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today's layout is starting off a little different. I created this sketch on my Cricut. So I have my title, S'more Fun with Friends. So you guessed it, we are making s'mores with our friends. And I thought that by doing the work ahead of time, this layout could come together very quickly. So my measurements, I don't have typed out or anything, they're on my computer, but I'll give you the measurements as we go, and I may make some adjustments here and there. So because we're making s'mores and we're camping, I am using the Weekend Adventure paper, and I wanted to use these three patterns. So I have the wood grain to bring in the wood from our fire. I have the acorns, and then I have this blue, I think it looks like Starry Night, or it could work as splatter. But these are going to be the pieces that go along my edges. So this one I cut 12 by 5. And then for this side, I did the 7 inches. Here, if I bring it over here, you can actually see. I did the 7 inches by 12. And then both of these pieces are 10.5 by 8. And I kind of want these up a little bit further. I'm not quite sure how high yet. So those will go along that. And then I wanted to kind of brace this. So it kind of looks like right now this piece is just kind of floating up there. So I thought by cutting some banners, it'll look more braced and completed. So these I cut 1 1/4 by 11.5. And then I dovetailed them. I don't like my dovetails very deep, so I just kind of lined them up together and then cut them. I am going to go around all of my edges with some ink, some brown ink. So I'm going to do that right now, and I'll be right back. While I'm inking these edges, I'm just going to do this one edge. I'm not going to do the ones that are up against the edge of the paper. But the reason I decided to create this layout on the Cricut is because I had so many photos. So I was trying to figure out how many I could fit on here, and I thought it'd be easier to size my pictures, and I had my phone out in front of me and then the Cricut on the computer. So then I was able, I'm not gonna set that directly onto the white because it will get ink on there. But then I was able to go through my phone and see which ones I could cut down to 3 by 3s, which ones were vertical, which ones were horizontal. So it kind of helped me to determine how many I could fit, plus which ones I can crop down and which ones were most important to me. So I could kind of narrow it down that way too, because you guys know I have a tendency of printing too many pictures. So that's why I decided to use my Cricut this time. And I was just sitting next to my husband. He was reading a book. I was messing around on the Cricut, so I didn't really feel like I was locking myself in the craft room either and ignoring everybody. All right, my background pieces are laid down. The photos I'm bringing in today are this one here. I printed out a 4 by 6 with the white frame. And then I have some 3 by 3s. And these I don't have printed with the white border because my printer, I wouldn't be able to, they wouldn't actually be a square. They're 3 by 4s, and then I cut them down to 3 by 3s, so I would have cut that white border off anyways. So I am going to mat them on white. I have some white squares cut here. And then I have another 4 by 6 for over here. And I actually think, since everyone's kind of angled this way, I'll have this one over here and then this one here, something like that. And then this one, he's kind of looking that way, so let's put him over here and my dog over there. I am liking that, but my photos do get lost. These ones, you can't even tell that I put the white behind them. They really stick off the page like that. Since these get a little lost on my background, I am going to bring in some brown cardstock, and this is coordinating with that Weekend Adventure paper, so that looks perfect right there. And I will mat all of them on brown just to make them pop off that background a little bit more. There's always a marshmallow competition with my husband. So here's my husband and his friend, and look at how big they're getting those mallows. And they're not even burnt yet. They were perfectly golden by the time they were done. And then we got the two little ones eating their s'mores. And here's another close-up picture of those marshmallows, the competition. My husband can get them so big, and I don't have the patience. I have him roast them for me. I don't like them burnt, but because I don't have the patience, that's usually how mine turn out. All right, so then I printed S'more Fun with Friends on my Cricut. And I had told you I might switch it up a little bit. I am just going to put my title down below rather than having part of it up top. So I think I want it touching my photo, but I'm not quite sure. Oh, I think that goes this direction. And I know I'm going to get asked about these fonts, so let me go see what those are. It looks like this font is called Forte, F-O-R-T-E, and then this font is Onyx. And I like how this one's so bold and thick, and then it pairs nicely with a skinnier font. So maybe something like that. And then my clusters, I have one over here, and then one down here. And I may end up moving this one up here, we'll see. But I wanted to use some of my Spotlight on Nature dies to kind of accent those. So I'm gonna cut a few more of these, and I think I want a larger one here. And I like the white since we have some cream and white, and then white behind our font and pictures. I might actually add a little bit of brown between these and ink around this too, just to add a little more dimension on that. I decided to use some circles from my stash that just have the dashed line, what's that called? The edging like that, rather than the Spotlight on Nature that has more of a decorative, I don't know what to call that. Anyways, so these are from my stash, but I think they'll be nice little embellishment like bases to hold that down. And then I'm just wondering where I want my third cluster. So I want one kind of here behind the title. Could overlap both photos. This just has a towel and another chair there, so that could be overlapped there. And then do we just want to have a little piece peeking out? Could even have it peeking out from up here and just do a word sentiment there. We have cheers to another journey, cheers to another adventure. We have better together, that'd be cute. That one is the Weekend Adventures stamp set. How big is that? What does it look like? Why can't I find it? Better together. Oh, it's inside the coffee. That's fine. So we could just add a little better together right there. We could even add the arrow to help fill in that spot. And then I was thinking I could do some trees. So the Scenic Adventure has these trees. We have the tree line. We have the stamps. So I could also do like the tree line up here instead of stamping. Could do that. I don't know, I kind of like the idea of having one down here. I think I like that better. But then we could have that one up there and do like our tree line or something up there. You all don't want to watch me create my embellishments, so I'm just going to show you. I'm going to use my Forever Forest, my Scenic Adventure, maybe my Frosted Forest, possibly some Weekend Adventure. And I'm just going to turn on some music, maybe a podcast, and start creating a whole bunch of embellishments. I like to just have these ready and next to my layout so I can just start playing and I don't need to, you know, stick with one collection or anything. So I'm just going to start stamping, die cutting, playing around, and I will be back. I've started playing around with my embellishments. So as you can see, I've already stamped and cut out a bunch of trees, and then these little fire pits, little fires, were from the, not the Weekend Adventures, was it? No, it was from the Scenic Adventure. This little guy here. So to cut out the little flames, these I used cardstock, but then this one I used my marker, colored white cardstock, and then ran it through my cutting machine. And I thought that red matched perfectly with some of the stickers on the sticker sheet. And I have to be literal with my fires. I have to have them red. I couldn't, you know, I have no other red on this layout yet, but I wanted to use these little fires so bad. So I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna bring in the fire red, I need to have red elsewhere. So I went to my sticker sheet and I tried to match that red with my markers, which I think it matches pretty close. This one I did more of an orangey kind of tone. So that one's, it still brings in the reds, but it doesn't match as much as this one. This was on the sticker sheet. So I thought I could bring red in with that. And then I'm also playing with the idea of this better together because we're all together, and it would bring in some more of the dark green that I have in some of my trees. And then this fire, of course, I used that same marker to bring in both of these colors. And this was just from my stash. That's an old close to my heart stamp. So I think I'm going to do something like that over here and kind of bring that tree in and do a cluster. And then have one of my fires down here and another one up in this area. And I'm kind of wondering if I want to separate the two little fires and have maybe one up here and one over here and move that big fire over there so that the two that match aren't so close together. Maybe if I bring over this one, this is a bigger circle, and then I could do that, but then I have two matching trees here and two matching trees here, so I kind of want to separate those. So if I did maybe like that, and then maybe tuck that one behind, that could work. And I could kind of extend that one up. I also have this one created, and I wasn't sure how I felt about these trees. I wasn't making them work in my layout, on my layout, so I could always cut that off and then kind of tuck trees behind it too. And I stamped sitting around the fire in my blue ink that was pretty close to this color. And then I have this blue down kind of in this cluster. And then I stamped "Let's go on a road trip" on a little license plate up here. So I think that'll bring in that blue. So I'm bringing in each color into each cluster. I did think of bringing in some splatters for on these, but I don't want to overfill my clusters. So I might actually just bring in some enamel dots to spread around. I got all my embellishments down, so I decided to put the bigger tree here and kind of create this L going around my title. I did bring in this strip of trees here. I wish I could have lowered this fire pit a little bit more so it didn't look like it was floating so much, but I used liquid adhesive and that ain't moving. So that is floating in the air, but so is this one, so it's not a big deal, right? If I really wanted to be picky, I could add some strips going along to to kind of balance them, but that's all right. I did end up taking this off. It was almost too much red once I added everything. And I don't know that I'm going to be adding journaling to this since I do have a couple layouts from this trip. So obviously we're making s'mores with friends. So I don't think this one needs any journaling. Sitting around the campfire, I kind of created an L again here to kind of frame everything in. I do need to trim off this this tree here, so I'll just take my scissors and trim that up. But that is how it came together. And I had some enamel dots. I think these are actually from a card kit that I did the cards and had some enamel dots left. So those matched my little fires perfectly. Bring this one up a little closer here. I do tack it down on my Versamat so that it doesn't move around on me while I'm creating. I love how I got this to match, and I did search the hex code and create this on my Cricut to match this blue here. So if you're not familiar with how to find the hex code, I do have that in another video I can have linked down below. As you can see, I did grab the orange stickers off of the sticker sheet and run that along my blue paper just to bring in a little more orange. We did change my sketch up a little bit. We only have the one cluster here, but then I brought that other cluster up here and brought my title down. So I still have the 3 points of interest, but not two on that side. So I do like how that came about, and I might do something similar to this in the future and have both of my clusters over here. We'll see. I'm gonna hang on to this just since, I mean, it's a good jumping off point when you're stuck. So if you enjoyed seeing a sketch that I create and transform it into a layout, let me know. I think I might be going to my Cricut a little bit more so that my layouts come together faster once I actually get into the craft room. Thanks for watching and spending a little time with me today. And until next time, live a life worth scrapping. Bye, guys.